Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pickdawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Put your basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, the games I love the most, including my daily Bank Shot best bet in college hoops, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Wednesday in college basketball. First up, we've got Chattanooga and South Carolina State. This one is 7 p.m. Eastern. Now, you could make a pretty good argument that South Carolina State has been the worst team in Division I so far this season. They're 0-4 straight up, 1-3 against the spread. They did cover against Samford, but outside of that one competitive performance, they were, just really blowout losses to Louisville, NC and Charleston. And those last two, to NC and Charleston, not great losses by 27 and 23. That NC game should have been pretty competitive on paper, but it was another blowout loss. And yes, they've played all true road games. This is going to be their first home game of the season, so maybe we see a different effort. But I can't really bank on that, as they have South Carolina State has been the worst team in shot quality so far on both ends of the court. They've turned the ball over about 25% of their possessions. They've not been great on the glass. They have taken a lot of fouls defensively. They are the 5th worst two-point field goal shooting team. So these are 4 Division I matchups, at least a decent sample size from what we've seen from the Bulldogs. And yes, they could certainly turn it around. They played a pretty challenging schedule, but not as challenging as Chattanooga. Chattanooga's played the 37th toughest schedule. And yes, they're 0-3 in Division I games, 1-3 overall this season. But I've seen more from Chattanooga, especially in the offensive side. You played St. Mary's and scored 66 points. That's actually a big win for an offense. St. Mary's is one of the best defensive programs in all of Division I. So it was actually not a terrible showing from Chattanooga in that game. The games against UNLV and Florida Gulf Coast were pretty dreadful, especially defensively. But like I said, Chattanooga offensively, pretty good shooting team. They get to the free throw line, which benefits them in a matchup like this. They take care of the basketball. So both of these teams are struggling, but I think one team is struggling that much more. And it's actually because of their records on paper being similar, we can still get some value fading South Carolina State in a game like this. So I'll take Chattanooga. I don't think it's their best team. I don't think Chattanooga has a great team overall this year, but this is a great matchup for them. So I'm going to take the Mocs in this one. Next up, we've got Wyoming and Sam Houston. This one is 7:30 Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+. Now, we took Sam Houston plus the points against Utah in that last game on Saturday, and that was a cover for us. It was a 6-point win for Utah, but Sam Houston was catching double digits. This time around, though, I am going to fade Sam Houston. I don't love this matchup for the Bearcats. Wyoming, first of all, they do a good job of taking care of the basketball. That's very important against Chris Mudge teams, as Sam Houston's a very aggressive defense. They haven't really forced a ton of turnovers so far this season, about 18% of their possessions defensively. It's a small sample. I think that will definitely increase as the season goes along. But the side effect of being aggressive defensively, not being great on the defensive glass, and taking a lot of fouls, that's definitely shown up for Sam Houston. We saw it against Utah in that last game. The Utes had 30 free throw attempts in that one, also 16 offensive rebounds. So I think Wyoming is going to win the free throw battle. I think they're going to win the game on the glass. As long as they can do a decent enough job of taking care of the basketball, I think their offense will be more than fine. They're a pretty good shooting team, especially from three-point land. And their defense has been excellent to start the year. Even though teams are looking to get shots up pretty quick against Wyoming, they're 13th ranked in average possession length defensively. Hasn't been a problem there. Got their 4th best three-point defense, good defensive rebounding team. I just don't think Sam Houston's going to be able to go score for score like they were against Utah in this matchup. Even at home, we don't usually see teams like Sam Houston host these types of games against Mountain West foes, and they should be way up for it. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Wyoming's just a much better team and a better matchup for them, so I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one on the road. Next up, we've got Marquette hosting Dayton. This one is 7:30 Eastern on True TV. I'm not in love with Marquette's form right now. They lost that game against Indiana. We were on the Hoosiers in that game. I've been big on Indiana since day one of the season. So the loss, in theory, not terrible. And, the final score is not what you want to see, 100-77. But you can live with that type of loss against a really good Indiana team that I think is only going to climb the rankings as the season continues. My biggest problem is the most recent loss at home against Maryland. I don't really love Maryland this year. We faded them a couple of times. Faded them the first day of the season with Coppin State of all teams. They were able to cover for us. We took Georgetown. They won that game outright. So I'm not big on Maryland, yet Maryland wins that game 89-82 over Marquette in a home game as a favorite. And now you're up against Dayton. You're laying points here. I know Dayton hasn't had the best start to the season. Their one, step-up game was a loss at Cincinnati, but it was a overall not terrible performance. They didn't cover the number. It wasn't the most competitive, but a 12-point loss you can live with, especially with how bad that game started. Dayton, the rest of the way, did play pretty competitively. And overall, Dayton's defense has been solid. They're forcing a lot of turnovers. On the offensive side, pretty good shooting team. Not so much from the perimeter, but they're ranked 50th in two-point field goal percentage, top 100 in free throw shooting. They get to the free throw line quite a bit. I think that benefits them in a game like this where it could come down to the wire and free throws are going to play a big role. They take care of the ball. So I do think that Dayton does the little things well offensively. And then I think their defense is one of the best in the A-10 and really one of the best in mid-major college basketball. So it makes them a dangerous road dog in this game. And I'm just not looking to lay points right now with Marquette. I really don't like what I'm seeing from them. So I'm going to roll with Dayton plus the points in this one. Next up, we've got South Florida and George Washington. This one is 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Now, South Florida has been a very volatile team so far this season. They've gained in the rankings, and for good reason. They're 3-1. They've had 3 blowout wins. Their offenses look really strong in those games. And even in the other game where they lost to George Washington, still put up 95 points. This will end up being one of the best offenses in the country in terms of points per game. They're one of the fastest teams in the country as well. That defense will have its issues at times, like we saw against George Washington. But overall, South Florida is going to be a dangerous team in the AAC. The problem for me in this matchup is similar to what we saw with George Washington. South Florida is looking to speed things up. George Washington not really uncomfortable with that situation. They're one of the faster teams in their conference as well. Top 100 in adjusted average possession length offensively to start the year. Same thing goes for Oklahoma State. This is a team that's not, in recent years, they'd look to slow things down. This season so far, they're the 6th fastest team in adjusted tempo, top 100 in possession length in offense and defense. So they are not going to be intimidated by the pace of play in this game. And I think overall, they match up really well with South Florida. Oklahoma State's a great rebounding team. They do a pretty good job of taking care of the basketball. They get to the free throw line, and they make their free throws at a good rate, 76% as a team. They're also quite disciplined defensively, unlike South Florida. South Florida takes a ton of fouls because of that aggressive defense, and they struggle on the defensive glass. So I think that Oklahoma State may struggle a bit in the turnover battle like we saw George Washington did, but I think the Cowboys make it up at the free throw line and on the glass in this one. And when you're an Oklahoma State team that's not necessarily known for your scoring, but so far this season have scored 80-plus points in all 4 of your games, I'm not worried about the Cowboys in this game at home. The defense has been excellent to start the year as well. I'm going to roll Oklahoma State. I think South Florida as a road dog will be very dangerous this year, but in the right matchups, for me, this is not the right matchup. Give me Oklahoma State. Next up, we've got Alabama and Illinois. This one is going to be 9 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. I wanted to talk about at least one of the marquee games for Wednesday because there's some really good ones, and this is one of them. Ranked teams going at it. This is going to be a very, very important game for seeding and NCAA tournament wise when we get there. Illinois playing. It's a semi-home game, not a true home game, but you should see plenty of Illini fans travel to the United Center for this one in Chicago, and I think that Illinois matches up well, but also situationally, it's a good spot for them. They're playing with revenge. They lost to Alabama last year in another neutral site semi-road game on November 20th of last year, and that season, that game, Alabama was just a better team, plainly put. They were excellent from two-point range. Their offense showed up in a big way in that game, but Illinois, I think this season is better defensively. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the country, which I really think benefits them in a matchup like this. Alabama has struggled on the glass, not just this year, but we even saw last year they were one of the weaker defensive rebounding teams in the SEC. So look for Illinois to win the rebounding game in a big way. I also think they win the turnover battle also, and I think that Illinois, they're dealing with some injuries. Their starting lineup is a little bit younger than most teams in the country, but overall, I think they're the more talented team. I really like Brad Underwood, a coach. Playing with revenge, I think it's a good spot for Illinois. I'm going to take the Illini in this one and lay the points. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday in college hoops. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com, and there is a link in the description. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.